Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take a look at this window and adjust how the window is created. So we've put in these windows, and if we take a look at them as a family, we can left click on them, and you can either go to Edit Family up here, or you can right click on them and go to Edit Family, and it will open up that loadable family in a separate file. Now, if I take a look at it in 3D, you can kind of spin around it, see what it looks like. You can go to a shaded view and see what it looks like. But if you want to see the parameters, go back to hidden line, what you need to do is go to an orthogonal view. So if I go to my floor plan in my project browser and go to reference level, you're going to see here's the interior, here's the exterior, and here's the width, right? And then the window is growing symmetrically around the center here, which is typical. And then if I go to my elevation, exterior, you will see here's the frame offset, which is controlling how wide the frame is, right? And then you'll see the sill height, so that's controlling how far it is off whichever hosted level it's on. And then right here is actually the height. They're overlapping a little bit, so it's difficult to see. So these are basically the parameters that you have access to in the file. We want to do two things. We want to be able to adjust the depth of the frame, and then we also want to put some glass in. So the first order of business is to look at the floor plan and look at the depth of this frame. Now, what's happening with yours, I believe, is yours is not attached to the center of that wall, so I'm going to just move that off the center of the wall and remove the constraint there. I believe yours is attached here, so you're getting a full length of the wall. What we want to be able to do is adjust this frame to the interior side. So we want it to be justified here and to be able to give it a depth. And to do that, best practice generally, what you want to do is create a reference plane and then glue the model to the reference plane, so the reference plane is driving the model. So I'm going to come in and go to Create, and I'm going to go to Reference Plane. And I'm going to draw a reference plane sort of close to where I want to control the depth of that frame, right? And you can name your reference planes. It's a good idea to get into this habit, especially when you have more complex families. So I'll name this Face of Frame. Okay, and now what I want to do, I'm going to go to Modify to stop the reference plane command. I want to take this extrusion that's been created, and I want to lock the face of that extrusion to the face of this reference plane. And I can do that in multiple ways. Right now the easiest way is to grab this extrusion handle and drag it, and it's giving me a don't do this because that's actually locked to the face. And if I let go, it'll yell at me and say, you pulled this off of a locked constraint. What do you want to do? And I want to remove the constraint because I want to reconstrain it to this reference plane. So I'm going to hold on to this and drag it down to that reference plane, and it will give me a lock. And now that model will follow this reference plane. So if I move that reference plane, the extrusion depth adjusts to it. Now what I want to do is put an annotation between that reference plane and the back face of this wall in order to give it a parameter that I can control it by. So if I go to Annotate and Aligned, I can dimension from the thing. Typically I want to dimension from the thing that is more important, so the face of the wall is the driver in this case. And I'm going to tab and get the face of that wall, and then select the reference plane, and then select on Nothing. And that will give me a dimension out there. I'm going to select Modify to stop the dimension creation command. Then I'm going to select that dimension, and that allows me to place a parameter on it that comes up under this Label Dimension. If I wanted to create a new parameter, I could create a new parameter called Frame Depth. But what I want to do is assign an existing parameter to it, and that's the frame offset. So if I select Frame Offset, now I have a frame offset of 3, and if we remember, we can go back to the exterior, and there's our frame offset being controlled here. So the depth and the width of this is being controlled by the same parameter, so it will always be a square, which for me right now is fine. Now once I have that done, I can save it. So if I go to save, it will save over that generic opening type frame RFA that I have in my custom library, so separate from the Revit file, and I'll say yes. And then I'm going to load this into the project, so the project we were just working in, and it will say, do you want to overwrite the existing version or overwrite the existing version as parameter values? I would like to overwrite the existing version. That's going to leave any parameters that I set in the project alone and not overwrite them with the one from the separate family file. So I'm going to click overwrite the existing version, and you'll see that it updates to that new 3x3, and the depth is now 3x3. So if I go to my level 1, you'll see that that's much shorter and offset. If I select this family now and go to edit type, you will see that the frame offset now, if I were to change it from 50, change it to 70 and hit apply, you'll see that that grows this way, that way now. So now I have control over the depth and the width through the same parameter. Okay, so now we've got that guy set up. Now what I want to do is go in and do the window. So we'll create a window, a pane of glass.